So how was your drive here?
The drive here, luckily they flattened the road that leads to my house because I live in the middle of the jungle, in the 15 region.
Okay.
And
15 region. Where's that?
it's behind Beleta.
Oh, okay.
It's between Beleta and the beach.
Mm.
It's not so developed right now. There's a lot of construction happening, but not that much.
Right.
Luckily, there's the direct road. I don't remember the name of the street. Now it's flattened, so I don't have to do 4 million turns and yeah.
Yeah, the roads here, even like leaving La Valletta, there's this huge bumpy road that they never fix.
Yeah.
And why is that? Why don't I mean
I have no idea, man. I think it's something to do with Aldea Sama and the municipality that says that it's a Aldea Sama road. Aldea Sama says it's a municipality road. It's just like
it's literally just throwing sand and rocks on the road, and
exactly,
it's such a
man.
big. I mean, this is the issue with politics, right? It's like you want to get something done, and no one wants to take action and responsibility to do it.
Exactly. Last time they fixed it, it was the taxi drivers.
The taxi
The
drivers,
taxi drivers put money. I even put money, 50 pesos,
really.
to fix that road.
That'd be good. I mean, we should do like a little fundraiser to fix the road of leaving Adel Zama. But no, I think that Adel Zama makes a lot of money. Also,
A fuck ton of money. Man.
yeah, there's a lot of money flowing in here, and I think that people should. I mean, they should be the ones to fix it. We should do another fundraiser to actually do something meaningful, more meaningful for people.
Yeah, like recycling.
Right.
I have a side project with a friend of mine. She'll be very good for this podcast. I think you know her. That blonde bikini girl is her.
Paige, yeah, she's in
Paige.
Costa Rica right now.
Yeah, she's in she's at the town that I used to live, Santa Teresa.
I love Santa Teresa. Great waves,
Yeah,
surfing.
man, amazing waves, amazing nature, amazing food. It's a little bit tiny.
The roads there also
The roads there
so bad.
suck, man. The roads there suck.
They never fix. Actually, when I was there, what was it? A year and a half ago. Yeah, they had kind of fixed the road a bit, because it was about to turn into high season in November.
Yeah, what they do is just like they use these melas, like sort of like it's not pav, it's like melas that last like for a couple of months, and then when the heavy rains come, the roads are
It's
gone.
washed.
Yeah, that's something that I don't miss about Santa Teresa, man. The dust and the
Oh
road.
yeah, that does. Yeah, because when it is dry, you have the four wheelers,
Yeah,
and it's just, and then everything is just super
Yeah,
dusty.
yeah.
It's like Burning Man there.
exactly, man. Exactly. Everything is dusty. All the restaurants that are like on the street is covered in dust.
Yeah. So you said you're working on a recycling project.
Yeah, because for me it's like kind of incredible that nearby here at Norita we are the only ones that recycle their waste.
Really?
So there's a lot of plastic, there's a lot of like glass, there's a lot of easy things to recycle, like especially plastic bottles. Especially there's a ton of plastic bottles on the empty plots that
Right. Yeah, it's so much.
nothing is there yet.
Yeah, I see people that just kind of just throw the trash there and just leave it on some
Exactly.
random place. And
Exactly.
what is this doing here?
So we work with the guys from Eucariota.
What's that?
It's a company that does all the recycling. It's the ones that they put like the big plastic cigarettes on the beach, so everybody can throw their ciggy butts there.
Okay.
And
Oh yeah, I saw that. That's nice.
yeah, they're all over the beach at the archaeological site beach, and it's kind of like a side project. And I want to do something, like gather a bunch of volunteers, bring them here, do like a brunch session, and then everybody goes to recycle, like to grab, and then we bring everything here, we separate it, we clean it, and then these guys will come and pick it up. They have their like their plant is at Veleta. I don't remember where, but it's in La Veleta.
So they have a recycling plant in La Valletta.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
dope.
It's
That's awesome.
huge. It's huge.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think the hardest part for people is knowing how to recycle because there's so many different kinds of plastic, and then even the plastic bottles or material themselves, they're not all the same material. So you may have like the plastic container,
Yeah.
but then the top,
Yeah, it's
you
a
just
different plastic.
you need to separate that also.
Yeah.
The ring around,
The ring around is different.
then the wrapping.
The wrapping is different. Usually the most like I'm like most difficult part to recycle is the wrapping.
The wrapping, okay.
Yeah, the wrapping is like no way to recycle.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why is that? Is that the material or
It's the
the ink?
material, yeah. It's the
Yeah,
material, the ink, and it's all like thin that it's already like almost no reuse. you
Okay.
know? With the plastic bottles, it's like 7 different plastic. I think here in
Okay.
Mexico is 5. They use 5 different plastics. You know, at the bottom when you see like this recycle circle, and then you have a number inside.
Right.
That's the type of plastic.
Yeah, I was listening to this one guy in India, and he was saying that if we all just made one type of good plastic instead of making all of these different kinds, that it would be so much easier to recycle. Because that's the issue with recycling.
Yeah. That's and the other thing is like cleaning the plastic.
Cleaning,
then.
oh, yeah.
It's like you have to use a bunch of water to clean the plastic to send them over. There in Santa Teresa, there's 2 companies. One is called Water Keepers, that they measure like the contamination in rivers and things like that. And then it's this other company that is huge worldwide. It's called Bionic. And basically, they sell all the plastic to the States, to brands like Nike, Adidas, and things like that. That nowadays they're doing a lot of things with recycling plastic.
Yeah, reusing the plastic. I also heard that that the United States, for example, their trash, they used to sell it to China,
Yeah.
and China's like, nah, we're not taking your trash anymore. And then they went to the Philippines or some other Asian country, and then eventually they were like, no, we're not taking your trash because we don't separate it, we don't do it properly.
Yeah.
It's so bad the way that they just throw everything together and expect someone else to just
Exactly.
handle it. And I think the issue is this just being able to have something as cheap as plastic, a material, but that's also biodegradable or compostable. And I don't know what that is yet, what the solution for that is.
Well, nowadays there's a ton of different like biodegradable plastics that are there on the tryout, like with hemp or avocado, the avocado seed,
Right, yeah, I've seen
and
that.
many different things, but they are all in the tryout and they are quite expensive to make.
That's the issue.
They're super expensive to make because now it's like a super small industry that is starting up. So
Right. And the issue with plastic is that the reason it's so cheap is because it's a byproduct of the oil. They use the oil from, and they can just make plastic out of that super cheap. So they're already making their money off gas and petrol and jet fuel. And then they just use,
yeah,
it's just, that doesn't really cost anything.
exactly. It's like the waste.
It's the waste.
They use like the waste from the oil and things like that to make bottles that.
So your project, so you want to have people come and go out and talk about recycling and learn about, and then go and pick up trash and then come back, clean it, sort it, and then take it to the place. Where would you go? Is it the beach or in town?
No, it's in town. It's this place in La Veleta. First, I want to start with my surrounding.
Right.
I think that one of the big problems of humanity is that we forgot our surrounding. We forgot how to interact with our surrounding. So it's like the typical phrase, like when you want to change something, start at your house. So here in my house, Norita, we're already doing it, which I'm very proud of it, because I don't think many restaurants here in Aldea Sama do it.
Okay.
And then we want to expand, and like a good type of like plague, expansion, and how you say, like teaching our neighbors. There's a ton of condos and big apartments that they are owned by the same administration, so it's just like teach them how to teach their renters how to recycle, and then it's just picking up. It's no big deal. It's such as so easy as like 2, 3, 4, 5 times a week. These guys comes and they just pick it up from your house, no charge.
Right. Yeah, I think it's a matter of educating people, but in a way where it's not in your face and making it convenient where you don't even have to think about it. Whereas where when you're getting a plastic bag, you don't think about it. You just get it and you throw it away. But if you had an option where it was something more sustainable, where it was super convenient and affordable, same price, it would just be
Yeah,
a lot easier. And
exactly.
I also think, yeah, a big part of it is just it's how to educate people without also judging and being in your face, because a lot of people don't want to be told what to do, right?
Yeah, but what I think, is like many of the people here that live here are from the States,
They should
and
know better.
they were kind of like raised with that mentality of like recycling. I have many friends that they know how to separate their trash. It's like four categories. You have organic, you have plastic, you have aluminum, and then you have glass,
Right.
and then paper. It's just like that, man. Have like 5 different cans or 5 different plastic bags where you gather it, and then once a week they take it.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Sounds simple enough.
It's super simple, and I don't know. I hope to get it done by the end of this year.
Cool. Cool. All right. Well, yeah. So where are you from originally? How did you you're from Argentina?
I'm from Argentina. I was born and raised in Buenos Aires, in the capital, and I've been. I always joke around, and I say that I was born a cook.
Born in what?
A cook.
Born a cook.
I was
Okay.
born a cook, and because I come from a very large family of women.
Okay.
I'm the only boy. I'm the youngest boy, and I was always in the kitchen, basically, man.
All
I was
right.
always in the kitchen. My grandmother used to be like a kitchen goddess, and my mom too cooks very nice, and my older sister too, and then all my aunties and step grandmothers and things like that. They all cook, and because I was like the young boy. My sisters are a little bit older than me, 5 and 7 years. So I was kind of like playing around, like, okay, come here and help me do some gnocchi or pasta or whatever. So, and I ended up having like the feeling to cook when I was super young.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you grew up around a lot of feminine energy,
Yeah,
and probably made you in touch a lot with your emotional side and your artistic side.
yeah, definitely. Um, Half of my family is Italian, like Italian descendancy. So, like like for Italians, like everything is about food.
Right. Yeah.
Everything about food, getting together every Saturday, every Sunday, like in a big table and eating a bunch of food.
Man, I love watching Italians eat food, like as a group, as a family,
Yeah.
as friends going out to eat. They're so expressive with how they it's just like, hey ragazzo, da, da, da," or
La
like venga aquí, que
pasta, yeah.
pasta, and then it's like it's speaking with your hands, and there's so much movement,
Yeah.
there's so much energy and life
Yeah, we're
going
very
on.
expressive.
Very expressive.
Very expressive, and how we express ourselves is also a way how we express ourselves in food. It's like, because basically everybody needs food to survive. And when you survive with good food, good ingredients, and with love, because everybody, it's like you have to love your people to cook every Saturday for 20 people. It's just like a big deal.
It's a lot.
Like on your free day as being a housewife or everything, and it's just like cooking pasta for 20 people. That's a bunch of food. There's a bunch of love that you need to do. Otherwise, you don't do it.
Right. Yeah, and you need to be able to make it good for every single person. It's not just you're not just cooking for one individual person or two people, and you're making that plate. You're making it for 20 people, so you have to proportion it properly, use the right amount of seasoning and spices for everybody, and make
Yeah,
sure.
you better cook right. Otherwise, everybody will hate you. For example, my step grandmother, she's like from Poland descendancy. So, and from the side of my father is Spanish. So I was in touch with food since a very young age, and I was super lucky, or I don't know, it was my destiny, maybe. My dad is a TV producer,
Mm.
and he used to produce a lot of cooking shows
Wow.
in the 90s, in the 80s. And he was a very, very good friend from one of the best chefs from Argentina, Gato Dumas. And when I was a teenager, I was super rebel, man. I I never liked school. I never liked to be schooled. Uh, I always had like problems with authority. Super rebel, and I didn't knew that I want to be a cook by then. When I was a teenager, I just knew that I didn't want to go to school. Period. It was super hard for me. My only interest back then was electronic music,
Mm.
like going out on the weekends to dance.
Electronic, you mean what, like techno,
Yeah,
house?
techno, progressive, trance. Back in the end of the 19s, So there was a very big club in Argentina, Pasha, there where
Pasha.
yeah, all the big DJs went there, and I was very lucky enough to meet the DJs there. So I was always going, being as me, because I was like 13, 14, and I was not allowed to enter the club. But I made friends with the manager, and I kind of went there by myself every Saturday for many, many years. And that was my interest. And I was kind of lost until I failed high school for the second time. And I talked to my folks and I said, guys, I don't know what I want to do, but I don't want to do this. Send me to night school, something quickly, cheaper, because you guys are spending a fuck ton of money on this. And my mom had this wonderful idea. It's like, talk to your dad, and your dad talked to this guy, this big famous chef that he has one of the best schools in Argentina, Culinary school. And I went to talk to this guy that for me, he was like a role model, because I was watching his shows, and instead of like watching the typical, I don't know, what teenagers watch in TV, I was watching TV shows, like cooking TV shows.
Cooking shows.
So I talked to this guy, and he was a very, very good friend of my dad, and that's how I entered into the culinary school without finishing high school, and I was 16 years old.
16, starting your career as a chef.
Yeah, yeah,
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that like school is built for some people, but it's not built for everybody. And if you're not comfortable in that situation, if you're not progressing, if you're not learning in that kind of environment, then you should look for something that you're passionate about.
exactly, exactly. And when I started the culinary school, I was like, wow, yeah, this is really my thing.
Yeah, luckily you had your mom and to like guide you and help you, and your dad.
Yeah,
And
yeah. My dad at the beginning was a little bit like, because he's like
no,
super straight, and he was always supporting me, and he paid for the school, but he was like, you have to finish high school. You have to finish high school, otherwise you won't get a job, and blah blah blah. But luckily, I started to work also when I was 16. I got called because I was kind of like in the top students, and so I was selected. I was kind of like in the chart of like top students that companies call to hire to do big like a trainees, stages or trainees. And the first they called me. I remember it was like a Friday, and they called me. Oh, you've been selected to do this event, whatever. It was like a big party, 8,000 people.
wow, 8,000.
Eight
That's more than 20.
8,000 people, and my shift was from 8 a.m. to 12 in the in midday. And when I went there, for me it was completely different from school. It was like a huge event. We were like, I don't know, 70 or 80 cooks. Many of us, we were trainees, and then you have like the section, the hot section, the salad section, whatever. And when my shift was about to end, I talked She was like my chef there, and it's like I told him I want to stay, man. I don't want to go home. I want to stay. For me, this is
You
amazing.
loved
Man.
it, yeah.
And he was like, okay, go and talk to the executive chef. He's over there. Like he's a very big, famous chef from Argentina, Rodrigo. And I went to talk to the guy, and I said, dude, I don't want to go. And he's like, well, but we have a contract with your school. If you stay, don't get hurt, don't get cut, and don't tell your school. And I was like,
Done.
perfect, dude. And I worked for 26 hours.
26 hours.
Yeah. I left the place at 10 the next day.
Wow.
And when I was finishing, the chef, the executive chef, brought me a Heineken beer. I was like, I want you tomorrow in my restaurant.
That's awesome.
And I started in his restaurant the next day.
That's awesome. So after the 26 hours, were you tired? Were you?
I was exhausted,
Dead.
man. I didn't feel my legs. Like my legs, because it was the first time that I was standing up for so long that you have this crazy tiredness, like energy in your legs. It's like, I don't know if you ever swim for a long period of time, that when you go to bed that night is
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying.
You
Yeah,
know
when I was a kid, I used to run a lot and play tag, and when I get home, my legs were just sore, and I was
exactly,
like, oh.
man. And I remember, man, I was so tired, but at the same time I was so happy because it was the first time that I fed people, sort of, that I was making people happy with my hands.
Right.
Because basically for me it's just making people happy with what I do.
Right.
Nourishing them and eating yummy and making them happy. It's about the smiles. It's like, of course everybody works for the money, but I work for the smiles of people, like it's just like making them happy for something that they never ate before, and just making them happy.
Yeah, I mean, food makes most people happy if it's good food.
Exactly,
Right?
man.
People look for that food, and when they see it, the how it's presented, how it tastes, the environment, and the energy you put into it when you're making it, people can taste it, and it's just
Totally, man.
it's
Totally.
an emotional experience.
Yeah. Because basically, it's what, like, psychologically, it's like what I remember when I was a kid. Like getting together with my family and everybody being happy, eating good food.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
and that's what make me very happy. Making other people happy.
Yeah, because I mean, you were super when you started, when you did your 26 hours, you were just in the zone, right? You weren't thinking about, oh, my legs hurt or my feet hurt, and you weren't thinking. You were just
No,
doing.
I was thinking about.
Oh, you were thinking about it also, really? Okay.
Yeah, because I was a baby, man. I was a child. I was 16, so I was like getting all this mixed emotion. I was like, oh my god, I'm so fucking tired. I can't move my legs. Because
Really?
of course I wasn't like I had what you mean? How do you say? My shoes weren't properly. I
Right.
just had like a pair of sneakers.
Right. You
Nike.
didn't have the right shoes for
Yeah.
the slipperiness, right?
Exactly, for the slippering, for standing out so long. Now I can.
Yeah.
I've trained my legs. Let's say, like after many years. Now it's like 21 years since.
Legs of steel.
Yeah, since that time, man.
So tell us about your experience being in a cooking school and the chef school in Argentina. Maybe some people listening want to get into cooking and the culinary arts, and they're curious about what it's like to be in a school, and maybe even they're curious about Argentina.
Yeah. Well, back then, this school was one of the top 3, and it was huge. I remember in my class we were like 500 people.
500
Yeah.
students.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And
In just your level or the whole school?
in my level.
In your level.
Yeah.
So how many levels are there?
There were 3 levels.
Wow.
So you have like, because it's a university degree, so it's like super serious. And half of like the students were there to do like a career, and the other half, which is like hobby cooks, like people that they were just bored with their life, or they just like really enjoy cooking and they want to train a little bit more. So it's kind of like, it was very interesting because you have people that they were doing career, and you have like grandmothers or housewife or guys that love how to cook and they want to learn a little bit more. And I remember like my group, we were like 10. I was the only one doing a career. All the rest were like guys that they just want to learn how to cook a little bit better. There was this little grandmother that always liked to cook, and she was bored about her life, and that's
Right.
how she did the career. And the teachers were, luckily by then, even they were super strict because it's French based school, and it's how you see in the movies about French cooks.
Yeah. How are French cooks?
Crazy, crazy motherfuckers.
Why? Why do you say that?
No, they're super strict and
Perfectionist too, right?
perfectionist, and it's about like discipline, sacrifice. It's just like when you're a chef, you're not a human being. You're just this sort of robot machine of perfection. And that's what your teachers kind of like pass you through, you know?
Okay.
And of course, at the beginning for me it was super hard because I was always a rebel, and I got these guys super crazy. It's like, stand straight, don't look at me, like don't laugh.
Wow. Military school.
Something like, it's very similar like military school.
Wow.
Very, very similar. And 21 years ago, it was kind of hard. Nowadays, they think a little bit more about the human part.
A little bit more progressive thinking.
Exactly. But 21 years ago, and because I was the son of the friend of the owner, I was kind of like, you little guy. You know, I wasn't the favorite at all.
Oh,
they
really?
they made my life super hard.
They were like, you're not getting any like benefits just
Exactly.
because you know people that doesn't give you. It's
Exactly.
actually going to be harder for you.
It was like that.
Wow.
It was harder. It was harder. And I was a baby, man. I was kind of like the pet of the school.
Right.
I even was there illegally, you know, because I didn't finish high school, and I went and I was doing university. So they pushed me, but at the same time, when they squeeze you like that, they kind of mold you, they form you,
Right.
they prepare you to what is coming, you know. Because if you choose this life, you forget about your holidays, you forget about your birthdays, you forget about your love birthdays, you forget about partying out.
Yeah.
Your hours are insane.
That's what I
Like,
hear.
I can work, I don't know, 15 hours a day, with just like, for me, it's super normal.
Right. Wow.
It's like the chef life. You don't choose the chef life. the chef lives choose you. You
Wow.
know?
Yeah, and it's super stressful. I mean, you're there 15 hours a day, and every day, every hour you're on call, you have to make this amazing meal for people who are expecting something really, really good, but they don't realize how much work and effort it takes to actually make the food and prepare it
Yeah.
and be consistently good also.
Yeah, it has to be the same every day.
Right.
It has to be the same. That's the challenge, you know. Because if you work alone, it's no problem. But now, when you're a leader, the boss or the chef or whatever you want to call, it's like you have to trespass or pass that knowledge to your crew, you know. And it's something very difficult to get, but luckily I got it here. I'm super proud of my crew, and yeah.
So what were some of the specific things that you learned at your school? What kind of food were you cooking? What kind of techniques?
Well, I've learned the French techniques. you know.
What does that mean for?
It's like the nouvelle cuisine, you know. It's like a couple of 100 years ago, there were these guys that they revolution the whole industry, you know, like on how to do their sauces, you know, and like you say, like consistency, you know, like, okay, we're gonna do this sauce always like this. We're gonna use these ingredients, and getting like the top ingredients everywhere, you know, like,
Right.
and it's not so old if you think about it. It's like 300, 400 years ago.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
it's like before the colonization of America. In Europe, you didn't have potatoes or tomatoes.
Really?
Yeah.
There were no potatoes.
There were no potatoes,
Where
no
do they come
tomatoes.
from?
From here, from America, man.
Oh my! I
Yeah.
didn't think about that.
They come from the Andes.
So they were imported from
Yeah,
America, and then they ended up growing in there.
exactly.
Yeah, cause oh wow, that's interesting.
So it's basically a lot of like what people eat in Europe. It's just kind of like newish, you know. So because they took the potatoes and a bunch of other ingredients that now I don't remember. But basically potatoes, you know, like it's potatoes.
So French fries, like
French fries.
actually come from the Americas, the
Yeah,
potatoes, right?
Yeah. But the Incas, they have this whole culture about potatoes, man. There's like 20,000 different potatoes. And
20,000.
yeah, something like that. I think 10,000 maybe.
But still, even 1,000 would be like,
Yeah,
whoa,
yeah,
1,000 different potatoes.
Yeah, no, it's a lot, man. When you go to Bolivia or Peru and you see the potato fields, it's just like each family has their own specific potatoes. You know?
But that's amazing. It's diversity. It's biodiversity where you don't have one specific monocrop. You have all these different kind of potato crops that, you know, if one gets a disease or eventually gets extinct, you still have another species, another variety. Creates resistance towards disease.
Yeah, now in Peru there is like the seed, the bank of the seeds, you know, where they are protecting the DNA of like native ingredients and like potatoes or corn or many other different things. Like it's the biggest in the world, where they find different types of, and they just like stabilize the DNA of the plant, and so it's there protected in case of like a zombie apocalypse or something. You know?
That's cool. Yeah. So that I mean, when I think about French cooking, I always think about this. There is a sauce. They're always making this sauce and making it really flavorful and getting the best ingredients and super precise.
Yeah, basically what the French did, these guys, was just like study the chemistry about many different combinations to say, you know, and how to cook the meat, how to proper cook like different veggies, and but basically French food is about butter, you know. Everything is about butter and eggs and cheese. It's a quite heavy, a lot of like calories, you know. And 21 years ago, I didn't imagine that I will learn vegan cooking or raw food or things like that. Because also in Argentina, like it's all about meat.
Right. Yeah, it's heavy on meat.
We are heavy culture on meat and poultry. And
why is that? Is it because Argentinians love meat, or
no? Because we have the best grass and we have the best cows.
Right.
It's like that.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that, man. Because we have like very flat lands, all the pampas. So the way the cows grow and are raised, it's just like they are raised and grow like in a very peaceful and not stressed environment, you know, because they don't have to do much effort to survive. It's just like eat grass.
Just eat grass and just hang out and
hang out, you know. They don't have to climb any mountain or go to the river or nothing, you know. It's just like walk. And that how the cows are build their muscles, let's say, theoretically, it's just like super chill. So that flavor that the way of how they are raised transmits to the flavor and the quality, you know. It's like also like the species of cows. It's like how they were raised, and it's just like also like tradition, you know. Like always there's big like contests of like the best cows and the best brands and Angus or Shorton or whatever.
What kind of cows are mostly in Argentina? Is it the ones with the white and black spots, or is it the one with, is that one?
Yeah, Angus.
Okay, that's Angus. That's Angus cows. Okay.
I think it's the typical Milka cow that you see on the chocolate bars. not violet. Yeah, those. And they were there, and they were for many, many years before the colonization came. They were just there, hanging out, being happy, man.
Mm. Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that's a big part of when you're eating meat, the how the animal is treated, how the animal is raised, translate into how good the meat is.
Exactly.
Yeah. For example, I think what is it? Is it in Japan? What
Yeah,
kind
the
of
Kobe
the
beef.
Kobe beef?
Yeah, they massage, they play music to them. They just like, and really, it transmits to the flavor.
It's the energy, right?
It's,
Yeah.
it's totally different when you eat Kobe beef. You is it like a religious experience. The flavor that that beef has is extraordinary. It's like if you're a meat eater, it's just like you discover meat for the first time.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think yeah, because a lot of people what they eat is they eat a lot of these factory farm animals where they're treated their whole lives like shit and they're in
yeah,
stress.
they're super stressed. They are born knowing that they are gonna die.
Right.
Basically, they're animals. They're not stupid.
Yeah, yeah.
They're they're sensitive. And something about that Argentina does is like the way they raise, the way they kill them, the way how to butcher them. In many many countries, like the problem is not about the cow itself; it's about the butcher.
Mm.
You know,
Why?
for example, in my first week in the Dominican Republic, I went to see the butcher.
Okay.
Oh my god, dude, it was, it was disgusting. Because like I went to the butcher, they recommended how go you go and see this butcher, blah blah blah. And I went there, and he had the cow there, and it's like, I was like, what? No fridge, no nothing, which is there on the floor, half the cow, no skin. I was like, dude, when you kill it, no, a couple of hours ago, and I was like, oh fuck. When you kill somebody, well, an animal, that sounds weird. When you kill an animal, like all the stress, all the tension of like the death, it's on the muscular system. It's
Mm-hmm.
like it gets
Tenses up.
tense, it
Yeah.
tenses up. So in the best parts of the world, when they do that, it's just like you have to like cure the meat for a couple of weeks,
Oh.
so all that tension goes away. Otherwise, you will be eating a bubble gum. You know.
Okay. So, what does curing mean? When you say
No, it's
curing?
just like the way you kill the animal. It has to be like fast and like instant.
Right.
And another thing is after the kill is what they call the post-mortem effect. It's just where you put the cow or whatever animal for a week so the muscles relax. And once the muscles are relaxed, then you butcher it.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, so wait, you're relaxing the animal before you kill it,
No,
or
no.
after you kill,
After.
and then it's there. The muscles are a little bit stressed,
Yeah.
tense, and then you're curing it. You're relaxing the muscles.
Exactly. Every muscle has a memory.
Mm.
So you have to pass a little bit of time so that muscle will be relaxed and will be edible, basically.
But does that have any effect? I mean, if you're having meat sit there for weeks, it's not rotting or going
No,
bad.
no, no, no. It's like because it's at controlled temperature
Oh,
and
it's like
things.
in a refrigerator
Yeah.
and an area, and then
Yeah.
it's just curing.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
The first couple of days, just draining out the blood,
Oh, okay.
and then it's taking out the skin, and yada yada.
Okay, cool. Yeah. All right. And wow, that's super interesting. And what else did you learn in your school?
Well, I've learned about sacrifice and discipline, basically. And for me, because when I started the school a couple of months later, I also started to work in restaurants and very busy restaurants, like 400 covers a day restaurant
Mm.
when I was 16. And even I was doing like a stash, a trainee. I was getting my ass kicked every day, man. Every day, I was just like I was in charge of like the cold station. So I was in charge of all the salads and then all the preps and things like that. But basically, school gave me the techniques,
What are some of the techniques? What do you mean when you say techniques?
How to like cut the different names of the cuts that then you expand in all your plates, you know, like for example when you do risotto, the way you cook the stock, you know, the way you cut the veggies that you put in the stock has a purpose, you know.
So you just don't chop up a whole bunch of veggies and throw it in there.
Exactly.
There's a certain technique, a certain way if you want to get a certain flavor.
Exactly.
Ah, okay.
It's completely different if you put hot water or cold water. If you, it's like it's a universe. It's chemistry. It's alchemy. You know.
Right.
So how to use your knife is it's a different world, man. It's a universe.
Is that why chefs pay $1,000 for a knife?
Yeah, man. And you take care of your knives.
Yeah.
You know, you don't borrow them.
What's the difference between a $1,000 knife and like a $10 knife?
Well, basically, when you work in this, is about protecting yourself. You know, if you use a good knife, it will be. It's like comparing a ninja sword with a crappy sword. You know, like it will be easier for you to do your job, and it will protect your muscles. If you use a crappy knife all day for a couple of years, it will start fucking your junctions and your muscles and things like that.
Yeah, I mean it's like a samurai sword. It's well balanced. It's a certain type of metal. It's cuts really well and
And there are some chefs that use the same knife for everything, and there are some chefs that they have their own knife for veggies, their own knife for this, their own knife for that. for a couple of years I was like that, you know. I had my vegetarian knife, my virgin knife that it was only for veggies. Then I had my knife for chicken. Then I had my knife for meat or for fish or for fruits. And now I'm kind of like a little bit more relaxed.
Right. Yeah, because I mean you gotten the technique down, you perfected certain techniques, and you know what feels right for certain things.
Yeah. But yeah, I have my knife. My oldest knife, I think it has 18 years.
18 years.
Yeah.
18 years with the same knife.
Yeah.
And you haven't lost it.
No.
Amazing. And you've traveled all over the world with it.
All over the world. Already 10 countries with that baby.
What is it like being in an airport with a knife?
No, it's just you're just sending on the bag.
Oh, the check-in.
Yeah.
Like you check in the luggage there,
Yeah.
so it's not like a carry-on thing.
I never had a problem with my knives.
Yeah.
One time one time I had like this questionnaire in Chile, but I was a resident of Chile. I had my job permits, so it's like, yeah, I'm a chef. Because like, for example, when I came here, my knife bag, it was 11 kilos.
Okay.
11 kilos of knives.
11 of knives only?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Because I have my fish knife, my potato knife, my whatever knife.
What's the difference between these knives? Like a fish knife, a chicken knife, a vegetable knife?
Well, the flexibility, the weight, their balance, the blade, the how you call this, the I forgot this word, el agarre,
the grip,
and it's totally different, man. Like I have my knife for onions.
An onion knife. That's awesome.
Because it's like the fastest one, the thin one, and for example, when you use the onion for risotto, it has to be the same size. When you cut the onion, it has to be the same size as the grain of rice. So it's basically you have to be a freak.
Super precise.
Yeah.
Cutting.
And it's training, man. It's training. It's just like after many years, you are just trained.
Yeah.
It's like I told you, you are not a human.
You're a well-oiled machine.
You're a machine, man. And when you are in service, sometimes I try to like pass through that knowledge to my cooks, my crew. Is that especially with the youngest, that they have some issues, you know, to understand, you know, because I had the same issues, you know, like, hey, but I don't want to stay so late. I want to go party tomorrow. It's like, no, dude, you have to cook tomorrow. You have to be here and you have to do an impeccable service and feed 400 people. And
You need to be mentally here, mentally present. If you're out partying and you come and you're hungover, and you can hurt yourself,
yeah,
or
yeah, exactly. Many of the accidents that happen in a kitchen is because you're tired, you're out of balance, you're stressed, and you, like you said, you're not present. You're thinking about something else. That for being a cook is quite challenging because you have to think 4 million things at the same time, and you have to think in advance a lot of things, because when you have, like, for example, you have the restaurant is full and you're cooking for everybody at the same time.
yeah,
And
it's different meals. It's different. Certain foods require different amount of time.
yeah, for example, just I think you try the risotto. For that risotto, I use 3 different fires.
3 different
Yeah,
fires.
one for the risotto, one for the stoke, and one for the sauce that comes on top. And then I use the oven for the toast, and then the decoration and garnishes. That's just one dish. And then you have some other dishes that you use 4 fires at the same time.
Wow.
You use the flat top, and it's like, so it's kind of like you have to be super organized, and you have to have a very trained internal clock.
Definitely important.
Because everything has to be hot, everything has to be cooked perfectly at the same time, and also you are with a team, so you have to communicate. It's very important. Your communication skills, it's one of the most important things in the kitchen.
Yeah, definitely working with other chefs.
You have to talk. Even how long it's gonna take for him to do this. You have to talk all the time. I'm 2 minutes behind. I'm 1 minute to this. So if you don't have good communication skills, find another job.
Things are gonna get burnt. Things are gonna not turn out the way.
Because it's part of a team. You're like a clock, man. And if one of the
Gears.
if one of the gears is not well oiled enough, all the other shit is gonna collapse.
Yeah, or not operating at the same speed to.
Exactly.
Yeah. Is it true the saying too many cooks? You ever heard that saying? It's too many cooks in the kitchen or something like that, where they say, because you have all these cooks and every cook is kind of like ego. You have your ego where I want it this way, or I want to do it this way.
No,
have you ever had that?
Yeah, all my life. The thing like that is like, to be a chef is not just being a chef. It's like you have to be a father, you have to be a brother, you have to be a sister, you have to be the boss, you have to be a leader, you have to be a friend, you have to be all those things at once. And apart from that, you have to be an amazing chef, you have to be an amazing cook, you have to be the best to show them how things are done.
Right, and you also have to be a scientist and an artist, and you need to know your ingredients and what works well, the chemistry, as you said, what's operating well and efficiently. So if you don't have that knowledge, that pre-knowledge of what foods go together, what foods work together in balance, then
exactly.
Yeah.
Mic problem there, solved.
And you need to expect things are sometimes they're not going to work out. And
but were you speaking about ego? It's like, because it's a very stressed environment, so all things are there. It's not the same as working in an office where you are in your cabinet for 8 hours and then you go home. You just send emails and shit. No, you're there working all together as a teamwork. And for example, as being like, your team has to understand that you're the chef, you are the boss,
right,
whatever chef, so it's just like, it's your recipe, it's your hard work. But sometimes, even for a chef, I have this way of saying that sometimes I don't care about the equation. You have many different equations to get to the same result.
Like 1 + 3 = 4, or 2 + 2 = 4.
Exactly. So to get to this certain recipe, you have many different equations on how to get it. usually the chef finds the best equation, the quickest way to get to that
Most
result,
efficient, I would
the
say.
most efficient, the most cheap, or the one that has the less amount of hard work, because even there, man, you have to know how to move yourself in order to spend the less amount of energy,
Right.
because in in a macro scale, energy transmit into man hours,
Right.
and that in very summingly up, it's just like it's money.
Mm-hmm.
You have 8 hours to do all this, and
Right.
if you didn't did it in those 8 hours, you have to do it tomorrow,
Right.
and all your team is gonna just like collapsing. The pyramid of organization is gonna collapse. So it's just
Since
like you have to find a way to do it the most efficient way, the quickest way, and to not use and to use the less amount of energy possible.
in the correct way, so that you're using less energy for that, but you can use that energy on something more creative and
Exactly.
something better,
Exactly.
where you're not wasting time.
Exactly. Many of the chores inside the kitchen are super boring, honestly. Like, okay, let's do, I don't know, gnocchi, and you have to boil 10 kilos of potatoes, and you have to be, it's like
Right.
super monotonous for a couple of hours, and you have to do this and that for many, many hours, and it's just like, so you have to find a way to do it in the less amount of time and have fun while doing it, and not, instead of 2 hours, you will do it in 4 hours, and you will be bored and you will be tired, and like we spoke before, like the energy that you transmit into that whatever you're doing, like, oh my god, I'm so bored doing this fucking gnocchi, whatever,
Right. Is that stuff that you pass on to
Yeah.
other people?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you
Like,
have them do that, and that's your grunt work. That's
yeah.
You have to do that. You have to do that first before you can get to the next level.
Yes, and you have to be a kind of like OCD in some sort, like how where you put your things, your materials. It's just like, even for example, I don't know, I have to peel potatoes, and I'm right-handed, so with my right hand I use the potato peeler,
Mhm.
and so in my left hand I will have the bowl of potatoes here. It's completely different if you have the bowls of potatoes here. I will have to do this.
Right. It's wasted energy. It's not efficient.
Exactly.
Ah.
You waste your energy, even if it's just like this tiny nanosecond.
Right.
Multiply it by 10 kilos, and it will be minutes.
Mm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Actually, that's, I mean, a famous restaurant. I mean, McDonald's. I saw the movie on Netflix of McDonald's, and that's actually why they became really, really big. Is because the original owners had designed the kitchen. They took months and months
Yeah.
to design the kitchen. What's the most efficient? What's the most best way? And they were coming up with so many different designs, but eventually they figured out what works the best.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for that, it's about being a well-oiled machine and
Exactly.
getting things done efficiently, so that the food is consistently good, and it comes, and not anyone can do it, but it becomes
No, in this in the case of McDonald's, it's just like fast food.
fast
So
food, right?
the fastest you prepare, the fastest you sell, so the
Right.
fastest money comes. It's just like, and same in a not so large scale. In every kitchen has to be that,
Right.
because you have to. There's always work in the kitchen. There's always things to do.
Right, in a sense, where McDonald's, it is about efficiency and being fast, but it's the reason is not to be creative or to make really, really good food, is that they have these 16-year-old kids in high school that don't know how to cook, don't know
Yeah.
what they're doing, so it makes it easier on them. They don't have to be a chef to make a fries or to make a burger. They can just, there's this process where anyone can go in with good training, and
Yeah.
within like a week they're just making everything's operating
Exactly.
perfectly.
That's very, like, from the industrial revolution. Like very.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like
Machines,
it's
and
machine, man. It's like a machine. Like
factory workers, and
Factory
it's just
workers.
you have your line workers, I think they call
exactly.
them,
It's like,
where you're on a line. You have your specific job. You only do fries.
Yeah.
Or you only
Well,
do burgers
in
or
the kitchen, that's how you call your station, your line.
your line?
Your line. It's like your cold line, your hot line, your frying line. It's like line cook.
Line cook. Okay.
Are we good?
Yeah, yeah, we're good.
Cool.
Yeah, so all right, so McDonald's, right? Now you're the conscious chef, right? Where does that come from? Like, what's the difference between, what McDonald's does and what you do, right? There's a huge difference.
Huge. Yeah.
So where does conscious chef come from? How did that originate?
I think that for many, many years, I was kind of like out from social media. From my friends, I was one of the last ones to get Facebook or Instagram or things like that. When I don't remember how old I was. I think it was 26 or 27. I did this ceremony with my friends, and a couple of days after that, I just got the insight of becoming vegetarian. If I wanted to change my energy, if I wanted to change my life, I had to go vegetarian. I was playing PlayStation, eating a prosciutto sandwich with one of my best friends, Felipe. And I was eating the sandwich, and boom, it hit me. Just go vegetarian. And I remember I gave the sandwich to my friend, and I told him I'm vegetarian now.
What?
And he was like, "Get out of here, man!" And I was like ultra carnivore, man. I was a T-Rex. And he's like, "I don't believe you, man. For sure tonight you're gonna eat a salami sandwich or some shit like that." And I was like, "No, dude. For 7 years strict, I didn't eat any meat." So Conscious Chefs was born in the Dominican Republic. But before that, for example, my first like consciousness chef was in Chile, where I have this project with a very good friend of mine that both of us, we were tired of working in restaurants, so we want to do independent. And the first and easy thing to do when you're independent is just like go street food, So
Right.
we created this project that it was called The Cow and the Chef.
The cow and the chef.
And we were doing gourmet vegan street food.
Wait, gourmet vegan street food?
Yeah, it was amazing, dude.
Where in Chile?
In Chile, yeah, in Santiago. And at the same time, we were going at 3 a.m. to the big market, the central market. And we went there one time to visit one of his friends, and I was shocked by the amount of wastage that in these places you see.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's just like tons of food being wasted, and we were super stoned, and we were like, dude, we have to do something with this, because it's just like fresh food that it's a little bit, I don't know, not rotten. It has like one hit, or it doesn't look nice. It doesn't
Right.
follow the standards of like the supermarkets to sell, So it's just like what we did. We became very good friends with one of the owners of these things there in the big central market of Chile, La Vega, and we're just getting the wastage and doing food with them, and then we were selling them. We were doing veggie burgers and sandwiches with different toppings and different sauces, like super gourmet sauces, man. Like instead of like the typical soy based burger, we were doing like amazing things,
What were the ingredients?
With I don't know, instead of using lettuce, we were using the leaf of the beetroot.
Ooh. Oh, the leaf of the beetroot.
The beef.
Yeah, so that's thrown away. People are just
Exactly.
like, I'm not
Exactly.
eating this.
People don't eat it,
Yeah.
and it's full of good nutrients, And he was like a super good spokesman, and I gave him like the information. It's like, for example, And the good thing about it is like he was dressed as a fucking cow. He was dressed as a cow, and I was dressed as a chef, and we had it was like super low budget, man. And it was like this painting, how you say, onesie painted as a cow, and we bought this cow hat,
Right.
and we were going to the exit of all the universities and or some yoga studios, and basically we were just selling vegan gourmet street food.
But why the cow and the chef?
Because we were like we have many slogans, and one is like "Don't eat my sister," you know, like for one more cow and things like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
When we created the brand,
You were high.
we were super stoned, man. We were super stoned, and it was so funny for us to imagine him dressed as a fucking cow, and because it was basically because in Chile also they're cow meat meat eaters, you know. So, and that's how my first contact with like the consciousness about the food, you know. I was working in a hotel and everything was meat, fish, and I was like, oh my god.
Right.
And I was vegetarian by then, and I was like, dude, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I don't want to touch dead animals anymore.
So you were a vegetarian, but you were still cooking, preparing meat and fish for other people.
Yeah. So when I finished that job in the mountain, I was a chef, the executive chef in a ski resort hotel. And I say, fuck it. I don't want to go back to Argentina. I want to stay here, but I don't want to cook meat anymore. So I got this this room in a house, in a bunch of hippie house. Many of them are my friends, my brothers now. And they kind of like taught me like to reuse this wastage. Because they didn't have money to buy like food all the time, and me, I saw it as an advantage of like, instead of spending so much money like buying fresh produce, I was using the fresh wastage, you know. So we had fun for a couple of months until summer came, and I couldn't stand it. Like, summer in Santiago is hard. It's super dry. It doesn't rain. It's full of smog. And a very good friend of mine called me to go to Uruguay, and I got a job there.
In Uruguay?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And I was working in a bakery there, so it's no meat related. I was still being vegetarian, and it was amazing.
How is Uruguay? I've don't really hear much about that country.
Uruguay is beautiful.
Yeah.
People is super lovely, super chill. The most chill people in South America. And it's nice, man. It's very, very nice.
Nice. And then, so yeah, I think what they call what you're saying with the waste and stuff is called freeganism or something, where
Freeganism,
right? Where you're taking all this wasted food that it's perfectly fine, but because it has a dent on it or because it has some kind of imperfection, it's not being sold. But it's mind-boggling because, I mean, you're a business and you're wasting food that people would most likely buy. But what's the thought process in that? Why throw it away?
I don't know, man. Because like each vegetable, not here in Mexico or in like third world countries, but in the first world countries, like the food has like an appearance standard. For example, bananas. Banana has to be this long, this looking, and that's it. The bananas that are a little bit shorter or a little bit longer, they're thrown away.
But as a business, though, that doesn't make sense. Like, why lose money on a product?
Because it will require a lot of like man labor to separate and to, I don't know, store it somewhere else, or take it to, I don't know, a smoothie house.
The amount of money that you require to pay someone to sort it for whatever reason is a lot less must be than the actual product actually costs. And they could just factor that loss into what they're selling. Yeah. So if you buy a banana for, 50 cents a kilo, it's factored in that they're losing a certain amount already. So if they didn't if they didn't throw it away and if they sold it to you, the bananas would actually cost maybe half or even 10%
Yeah.
of that. But you're paying, even though it's still cheap, you're still paying for the loss.
Exactly.
So it's all factored in.
Exactly.
So they're just like, okay, well, people are going to pay it anyway, so
Yeah,
we
yeah,
just
yeah.
throw it away.
So basically, I also going back to the Conscious Chef story. When I went vegetarian, I was always like preaching veganism and vegetarianism. You know, like for the first years, I got very sick because I was like a super T-Rex carnivore. You know, so I was
Right.
only eating pasta and pizza. You know, and I was totally malnourished. And then I started to study, you know, nutrition and veganism, where you get your plant-based protein, how you combine it, because it's not just like eating beans, you know, it's
Right.
how to combine them. It doesn't matter if you eat beans and if you don't put vitamin C on them.
Right.
It's like your body will just flush it away.
Yeah, I mean, if you're eating pasta and pizza, also it's like not really nutritious.
Exactly. So I don't remember exactly. This is a very good question, man, because I don't remember exactly when I did this Instagram Conscious Chef. I'm sure I was in the Dominican Republic.
Yeah, I was looking at one of your first posts. I think it was 2015 or 2016, around there.
I was there in the Dominican Republic, and I went there as a vegan sous chef. They hired me.
In the Dominican Republic?
Yeah.
That's weird because Dominicans are not vegan at all.
No,
so-
no, but I was in this hotel. It's a boutique hotel on the beach. It's an amazing place, and an acquaintance of mine was working there as a chef, and he kind of like hired me for my experience in vegan food and vegetarian food and raw food. I did many raw food courses, which I think is amazing. The raw food is the future, and
Yeah, when I was in Bali, I had some amazing raw food. I always thought about raw food as not having any taste or being hard, or why would you eat something? Well, why not just cook it? But I was in Bali and I was in Ubud, and I went to some of these places. I think it was called Moksa or Zest Ubud, and it was insanely one of the most delicious food of any, whether it was meat or vegan,
Yeah.
and it was just I was mind blown. It was like a cashew paste and so much flavor in it, and I was just
Yeah.
mind blown that I couldn't believe that something raw could have so
yeah,
much flavor.
when you kind of start to experiment with these things, because just like basically using a blender and a dehydrator, and it's just like, dude, the amount of things, like, it opened my mind a lot. My culinary mind was like
Right.
exploding, you know, like seeing from French cooking to Italian cooking or Mediterranean techniques. It's just like I was using like my French-based knowledge into these raw food things, and I was creating amazing fucking flavors, dude, that I never imagined I can do that, you know.
Right.
So yeah, I went there to the Dominican Republic as a sous chef, vegan sous chef, and like a month after that, I became the chef of the night restaurant, and I implemented a lot of like vegan and raw food or vegetarian dishes into their into their menu. So
But what is when you say vegan, like you implemented some vegan? What are some examples of the dishes that you made? What kind of ingredients, or what were the names of it? Or
well, for example, there's one that I do here that is like the zucchini. Is what I call the fake fish zucchini.
the fake fish? Okay.
The fake fish. So it's basically a zucchini that is wrapped
Yeah, let me help you with
in nori seaweed, and cool. Yeah, perfect. It's basically a zucchini that is marinated, and then it's wrapped in nori seaweed, and then it's kind of like fried on a chickpea butter. So it's vegan. You don't use eggs or flour for the butter,
Okay.
and it's basically like
What do you use instead of?
chickpeas.
Oh, you use the chickpeas, right? They're really good. Chickpeas have an eggy consistency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Having technical problems there. Yeah, amazing. So yeah, and they're super nutritious. They're super nutritious, and the fishy taste, you get it from the seaweed. And if you close your eyes and if you don't know what you're eating, somebody that is not well trained
Right, right.
will think that is a fish.
Yeah, the seaweed definitely will help with
Yeah.
that, and the egginess of the batter, maybe a batter-ish
Yeah,
thing. Yeah.
exactly. And many other things, man. Like, I don't know, the ceviche. I started to experience a lot with ceviches.
So what do you use for vegan ceviche?
I don't know, from coconut to potatoes to heart of palm. The heart of palm ceviche is amazing, but one of my favorites is the strawberries.
Strawberries for
Strawberries,
ceviche, really?
yeah. And because when you marinate them, like the texture is kind of like meaty, you know, and it will never taste like meat.
Right, right.
It will never have that muscle, basically, but
in a dish where it's watery and it's like it's mixed
Exactly.
with a whole bunch of different
Yeah.
vegetables as ceviche is, it's not as noticeable. So
Exactly.
you can just be like, oh wow, this tastes really, and the flavor, I'm sure you spice it up. Yeah. Well, what do you use for flavoring for spices? What are some of your favorites?
well, I'm very intense. I use many different ingredients. You know, I'm not the simple cook that use a couple of ingredients.
Some garlic, some salt, pepper,
Onions, peppers, different spices, different herbs, a lot. The original strawberry ceviche has like 40 different ingredients. you know.
40 different ingredients.
I like my food to be as the universe, like chaotic and organized at the same time, like an explosion of flavor, you know.
I love that.
And sometimes some other dishes, like, you know, the pasta that I do here is like not so many ingredients, but the way you cook those ingredients is like many hours. That's super French and Italian based, you know, many hours and maybe a couple of ingredients, but
Marinated and
concentrated.
concentrated, right?
Concentrated, yeah. It's all about concentration in when you do slow cooking and long hours of cooking. You know, it's
I feel that is also the same for raw foods. For example, the dehydrator takes hours to dehydrate and take away from the water, and a lot of these raw foods do taste really well because there's very little water in them,
Yeah.
and there's more flavor. So it takes a long time. They let it sit there and marinate the flavors.
Yeah.
So that's where it comes from. Yeah, that's amazing. But I was super curious. I mean, you went to a chef school, but yet you still didn't have knowledge of nutrients. Like you said you when you became vegetarian, even though you were cooking in the kitchen, even though you did go to a culinary school, you were still lacking in the knowledge department of what is conscious food, what is
Yeah, 20 years ago they didn't taught you that.
right.
I don't know now, maybe in the best schools they do, you know, because I think it's essential to as being a cook on how to nourish your people, you know, or even yourself.
Right.
I got into it because I was getting sick, you know, like I was super malnourished, and that's why, like, no, dude, I have to study a little bit.
Right.
And because
Yeah.
back then being vegetarian was like a
Salad.
no, I was being assimilated, or like was being a hippie, or a rasta, or just like
Something
a tree hugger, you know, and things like that, you know.
right. And now it's more conscious, more people are understanding the effects on the environment and the effects on our cells, on our body. But it's interesting because, you know, even as a chef, for example, a doctor is the same way. I mean, a doctor goes through how many years of medical school and studying medicine and chemicals and how the body reacts to things, but yet they don't have a basic understanding of nutrition,
Yeah.
which is fundamental to health. And it's mind-blowing that a doctor with such a high level of education can still not know or how to prescribe, how to tell people what to eat or certain foods. And some doctors might tell someone to, go have a Coca-Cola, or you need more red meat in your diet for iron or for certain nutrients. And it's like, well, you can get iron from so many different kinds of vegetables.
Yeah, but it's like it's like not knowing, you know, it's like ignorance.
Right. But it's also the fact that you're a doctor, right? You're a doctor. You should know what the best medicine is, what kind of food you're putting. I mean, food, you're eating it 3 times a day. You're putting it every day in your body.
Yeah.
And as a doctor, you're going to be trying to heal your patients. And, you know, it's similar to being a chef. I mean, as a chef, you're giving people food. And I think maybe the reason is because a lot of chefs focus more on the taste, on the maybe the aesthetics, and don't really focus on whether the nutrient value, because it's a lot. I mean, you're focusing a lot of what chemicals work together, whether I should add more salt or whether I should add more ginger or whatever, and how these foods combine with each other. You're not thinking, is this nutritional for my patrons?
That's totally true, man. But luckily, we have now in the last years with the advance of like internet use and social media, and for example, one thing that I discovered was Ayurvedic.
Oh yes,
Ayurvedic cuisine or medicine or whatever you want.
India,
to call
right?
them.
Yeah.
That they are not 100% plant based, but they study that, like you just said, what ingredients to use in your body in order to help you get the most nourishment, or if you have a disease, how to cure it.
Right.
And
it's based on like also your body type, your doshas, I think it's called.
Yeah, it's your dosha, is your body type, and we all have the three energies, but
some are
more noticeable or more marked in one another. And I think what this medicine, Western medicine, focuses in just like we all have the same body, and that's totally wrong, man. We are a complete different body type.
Right.
Everybody is different. Not everybody can be vegan, man.
Right.
Not everybody can be carnivore.
Right.
Even the fucking Dalai Lama is not vegan, man. Not even vegetarian. He can't.
Yeah.
At the age he has and
his body type,
he has to eat animal protein once in a while. Otherwise, the guy will die.
Yeah.
You know, and that's another thing that, for example, there's a lot of like fanatism in vegan. No, everybody should be vegan because we are vegan, blah, blah, blah. No, we've been eating meat for I don't know how many years, 10,000 years since humans are developed, and we change our structure, man. We are not 100% plant-based. Yeah, we don't have the how you call this?
The canines.
We don't have the canines as an animal. Our intestine is like plant-based, but we've been changing the whole structure, you know, for many, many years, and that changed our DNA. And with the crappy food and all the chemicals that they put in the food, we are completely modified, man.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I think, but Ayurveda has I love their way of approaching things. Like you said, they look at your body type. They look at also, do you know about the different tastes, like the salty, stringent, sweet, how do you say umami? What is that?
Umami is like the sixth sense, you know.
Okay.
It's like
umami.
It's like the perfection of combination of flavors. It's when you eat something that is umami, it's like having a orgasm, basically. You know, it's just like, this is so well prepared, and the combinations of, like you say, salty, acidity, sweet, whatever, is so perfectly combined that it creates this other sensation that is umami. Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, I think the different, also in Ayurveda, the different the different tastes affect you differently, affect your mood and your personality.
Totally.
When I was in Australia, there was this one restaurant that actually, I think it was called Serotonin. I don't know if that's the right name, but I think it was either in Melbourne or Sydney, where their food was basically, they had certain foods that would affect your mood in a certain way. So if you ate this food and you wanted to be more more happier,
Yeah.
it had certain type of food. But if you wanted to experience maybe some kind of some other emotion, I don't
Yeah.
remember what, but it was like
Amazing,
a
man.
chemistry thing. Yeah, I'll send you the information of it. Maybe you can see it.
Yeah, well, basically, when girls or boys are sad, what we eat chocolate. Why? Because cacao has these enzymes that they produce serotonin,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they make you happy. Like chemically, they make you
Yeah, I
happy.
think they say that chocolate introduces the same emotions as falling in love.
Exactly,
Yeah, yeah, that's super
exactly.
interesting.
Because it's about chemistry, man. It's just like the the, the, the molecules that these ingredients have, like they produce these other molecules in your brain, and they start to segregate serotonin, and that what why they say chocolate makes you happy,
Chocolate, yeah, yeah.
because it produces serotonin.
Yeah, I think we also don't realize that food is a drug, and it's a when you go to hospitals, right? What are they serving you in hospitals?
They serve the shittiest food ever, man. Like,
Yeah.
for example, in the Dominican Republic, I was super stressed, and I wasn't having a very good diet. I was like, my diet was coffee, bread, and Coca-Cola, man. And spirulina. Spirulina was making me alive, man. And I was super super stressed, and I had kidney stones, and I went to the hospital. I had to be in the hospital for a week, and the food, dude, it was just like, because I was vegetarian, and I was like, okay, here, have some potatoes, carrots, and rice, and I was like, dude, where's my protein?
Right.
I'm not gonna get better if I don't have protein.
Okay.
If I don't eat protein, I will not have the energy to recover myself. My immune system is gonna suck. And basically, what I was doing, I was just buying my own food in the hospital, man. Because
Yeah.
if you're a vegetarian and if you are in a clinic,
No. Yeah.
no bueno.
It's interesting. I mean, yeah, you're at a hospital to get better. You would think that they would be serving you the best food, the highest
Well, it's
quality
like we
food.
said before, it's ignorance. They don't know.
Yeah, I mean, or maybe it's just they're not there to really help you, to heal you. They're just there
Well,
to.
that's
Another story.
That's a different chapter.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it's basically that.
What's the difference between drug and medicine? Because I was talking to some people about, for example, taking ayahuasca or taking mushrooms, magic mushrooms, and how food is a drug also. But in a way, you also kind of put it where food is medicine, right? Food is something that's there to heal you, or these ayahuasca. Some people call it a drug, some people call it medicine. What do you think is the difference?
The difference is how we humans interact. I don't think that there are good drugs or bad drugs. They're just chemicals. That they create or generate different things to us. It's how we interact with those chemicals. You can get addicted to ayahuasca. I met many people that they were super addicted to ayahuasca and doing
Right.
2 times a week, and they were just completely out of this world, always there, like in this realm of
Spaced
like
out.
spaced out.
Yeah.
When you live here in this dimension, in this society. So I think the difference between medicine and drug is how we respond to it.
Okay. Like the addiction, like probably drugs are more addicting, or have an addictive thing, where medicine I guess can be addictive, but it's more about healing.
Exactly. For example, if you do this ayahuasca or DMT or magic mushrooms on like in a way of like with a purpose, you know, if you do it with a purpose, like, okay, I want to heal something, I want to reprogram my brain to stop suffering from this whatever trauma I had in my past. If you have that purpose, it's not a drug. You're doing it as a medicine. You're just doing it for doing it. Like when you smoke a cig, I don't have a purpose for smoking a cig. I just
Right.
like smoking a fucking cig because I want to smoke a cig. I'm a drug addict of a cig.
Yeah.
And I'm smoking a cig, and just like it doesn't have any purpose. Sometimes you have purpose for a cig. For example, I don't know. I finished a super hard shift where I fed a lot of people and just like going outside and just like, oh my god, I want to smoke a cig because I want to enjoy that nicotine and that you know, it's not gonna be a medicine because it's not
Right.
gonna heal you fuck all, but it's just
It's an
like,
addiction.
exactly.
Yeah.
And it's the same with any drug, you know. I don't think there are good drugs or bad drugs.
Yeah,
I
because you
think
can also be addicted to food, certain foods, and
yeah, but it's just like how we interact with them, you know. It's just like how we take them, what we search for, the feeling or sensation that this type of drug will give you, you know. It's cigarettes, cocaine, MDMA, whatever.
right.
Just like what basically what I think about drugs is like we are trying to feel some hole,
Some void, some emptiness.
some emptiness, you know. And some people do it with ayahuasca. They're trying to fill their emptiness with ayahuasca. Some people do it with cocaine or I don't know,
marijuana or
whatever,
cigarettes, alcohol,
or
juice.
food.
Food.
Food is a drug.
Yeah.
Man. Food, like obesity, is a very big problem, man.
Yeah, and it's people that are depressed and they're sad, they sit home and they just drown themselves in food and they keep eating to fill this void.
Yeah,
And yeah, it's super sad.
super sad, man. It's part of like the world, and like we talked before, like it's another chapter to talk about, but it's just like it's there, you know, the amount of sugar that they put in the food, because sugar is addictive, man.
Sugar, they say, is more addictive than cocaine. I don't know if it's like 10 times more addictive,
Yeah.
but yeah, they've. It's interesting. You substitute cocaine, doesn't have an addiction, but sugar, which we think like, oh, it's not bad for you, but it's super addictive.
Super addictive, man.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I went to Brazil, that I felt like the jungle heat. I was like, oh my God, I need a Coca-Cola. My blood pressure is going down. I need sugar, otherwise I will die. And it was just my brain, you know, like
Right. Yeah.
Giving
Your
me
withdrawal symptoms.
exactly giving me these withdrawal symptoms.
Yeah,
man,
I think we
totally.
also when we feel that we're healthy or we feel that we're trying to heal, we also don't realize that the foods that we're eating constantly, we are addicted to them. We have this like level where if you're eating a lot of just junk food or whatever it is, you have this addiction where you're not even aware of it. You're just just going through life. And
I went. This is a very funny story, man. I went vegan many stages of my life, like for a couple of weeks or months. But the first time, I was having nightmares eating pizza, man.
nightmares eating pizza.
Yeah.
Why?
Because I'm kind of like addicted to pizza. If like
everyone, I love pizza.
exactly,
But yeah, you probably
because like every 10 days I need to eat a pizza. It's like my brain is starting to send these withdrawal signals. Pizza. And when I was vegan, of course, I wasn't gonna eat pizza.
which is bread and sauce.
Exactly, you know.
Just
So
the
it's just
cheese.
I was having nightmares, man. Like, 'cause I was super strict and disciplined about it, and I was like, no, like forcing myself, because I love cheese. I fucking love cheese, and I was forcing myself not to do it, you know. So I was having these nightmares, man, where I was like in this giant oven pizza. I was inside this oven of pizza, surrounded by these beautiful Italian pizzas next to me, and people eating them, and I was like, going crazy, man. It was insane.
Yeah, that's insane. I mean, yeah, they say that cheese has these produces these casomorphins, that it's morphine, which is super addictive.
Yeah.
That the reason the cows will have this, and then it'll have the calves want to come back for more and drink more milk. But when you have it in cheese, it becomes super more condensed. So you're taking these casomorphins, and you have this crazy addiction to cheese.
Yeah.
And even when you stop eating it, you feel like, oh my God, I need cheese. I need more of it.
Exactly.
And everything has cheese. They put everything on salads, from pizza to salads to burgers to sandwiches, cheese
Yeah.
on everything. So
In the food industry, like casein, like you say, casein is present in everywhere, man. Even in everywhere, man. It's there. Just like if you read the ingredients, they have a tiny bit of powder milk, or,
Right, yeah.
or whatever, man.
just a bit. Like I was looking at a Hershey's chocolate the other day, And I was like, oh, all these ingredients, there's no dairy in it. There's like a soy. And then there's also at the end, which is I think the last ingredient is the least amount. There's milk. There's a milk powder. And it's like, you have everything there. Why did you need to add the milk powder or the milk to it? It's like, I don't know.
Everything has a purpose. Like, good or evil or wrong, everything has a purpose, man.
Everything has. What do you think the purpose is?
Getting addicted. Getting us addicted.
The sugar, yeah, definitely the sugar.
When you, for me, it's so funny, man. Like in your stomach, you have all these enzymes and bacterias and chemicals and shit. So when you stop drinking your mom's milk, and they give you all these formulas and powders, that's when they hook you up. That's when they fuck you up.
You think the formulas and the powders are changes your.
But before, when we were younger, maybe I don't remember having these formulas around. Maybe like this. What's this brand, like Nestle brand, like powder or whatever. But for example, my older sisters, I don't think they had cow milk. They just like have my mom's milk, and then. But now it's like, okay, here, have the milk bottle. Stop fucking around. And I saw it with babies of my friends, that they just give you this, and it's the way that the baby reacts, and they just like so calming for them when they're just like crying. Here, have the milk bottle. I just like, okay, here, there, just like calm and chill. And that milk or formula or whatever, no matter how well done is, or pro or organic, or
similar to
or whatever the
milk,
fuck, it's just like, it's not human. It's not ourselves. It's not made from a factory of moms, man. It's just like cow. It's cow based. So that starts to change your organism in a way that makes you addicted since you were born, man. Makes you addicted.
That makes a lot of sense.
Before you have 1 year, you start to have this formula because your mother has to work. It's not 24/7 there for you to give you the milk, or some of the mothers, they don't produce the milk, or I don't know, many reasons. Here, have the milk bottle, and that starts to change your organism.
Your bacteria
is completely changed.
Right. The enzymes, the proteins, the lipids, the fats in the milk is designed for a cow. It's not designed for a human.
Exactly.
So when you're taking that, and then your bacteria is changing to give more bacteria that want that cow milk. So you start feeding the bacteria that enjoy the cow milk, so that when you're older and you try to stop, you have so much of that bacteria already been part of you for decades.
Exactly. You had to do a cleanse that lasts years.
Right. Damn. Never thought of it like that.
Years. Now I'm flexitarian. Sometimes I eat meat or a couple of fish or chicken or whatever. But for 7 years, I didn't eat any meat. I was the type of guy, if like the sandwich had a little bit of like cold cut, no, I'm not gonna eat it. It touched the cheese. I'm not gonna eat it. It's disgusting. And when the first time that I ate meat, because I did a barbecue and people I did a wedding, or it was a birthday or something like that, and I cooked this Angus beef flat skirt, and people were like literally about to cry, like, Nico, this is so fucking good. I can't believe that you don't try this, man. How you cook so good and you don't try it. So I tried a little bit. And then I tried a little bit something else. And then the next year and the next month, blah, blah. And then when I was in Costa Rica, I did these burgers, this patty that everybody was flipping out. Like, oh man, this is so yummy. And I said, fuck it, I'm going to have one. And I had a whole burger, and I was sick for 5 days. I was sick for 5 days.
5 days.
Yeah, man. Like,
reintroduced meat into your system.
Fever, diarrhea, cold, shakes,
Was it
Like,
worth it?
no,
No.
no, totally not, man. Because I was suffering for 5 days
5 days.
straight. I
Damn.
couldn't move from my house for 5 days, from my bed. I was shitting myself, man.
From the burger.
From the fucking burger, man.
Why do you think that is? What
Because it was low quality meat.
Mm,
It was low quality. It was super yummy and tasty, but it was super low ground beef.
right. So all the
Costa Rican, God knows where it came from.
yeah. I mean, a lot of people think that Costa Rica is like a higher place, but they also have just shitty products. Also, maybe
Yeah.
meat, and who knows where it comes from.
No, my stomach wasn't prepared for that, man.
Right.
After many, almost a decade of being vegetarian, and like, dude, it rejected, man. I was vomiting for 2 days.
Damn, that must have been so bad.
Yeah,
But you
man.
still, but then, I mean, it didn't stop you eventually. I mean, you still are flexitarian, right?
Yeah, but if I eat ground beef, like crappy ground beef, I have the same reaction. I know instantly that it's gonna get me hurt.
Right.
Or, for example, last year I started to be more flexitarian, and every time I eat a little bit of meat, I have this acidity in my stomach, my burnt stomach
Right.
burns and shit like that. And I was like, oh no. So now I eat a little bit every now and then, cause I kind of like rebuilt my stomach.
Okay.
I'm vegetarian.
Right. All right. Yeah, hold on a second. Let me just double check everything.
Yeah. Great.
Nice. All right. Yeah. So, can you explain more? So, conscious food. What is conscious? When you say conscious, do you mean? Because I know there's two different words and it's spelled differently. One is like consciousness, your consciousness,
Uh-huh.
and then the other one is conscious, which means aware, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's basically a combination of the two. For example, nowadays that I have the opportunity to choose where my ingredients come from, instead of like supporting big corporations, I support the small businesses,
Okay.
like small farms, small basically farms. For example, all my proteins are organic, same as the eggs. They're free range eggs. They are not chickens that they're a factory of eggs. They are not factories.
What is that? What does organic mean? Because I know some people have different views on organic. What does it mean to you?
Well,
Maybe not the definition, but like, when you say organic, what do you mean?
organic, it means that it was raised with no chemicals.
Okay.
Basically, no hormones, especially on animals. That they put hormones to make them grow faster, fatter, bigger, and faster, basically. And when you speak about organic protein, it's that they are animals that they are raised fulfilling their own cycle. For example, one chicken is supposed to live for 3 years to get 2 years to get to the full growth.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, with all the hormones and shit they put in it, it's only 5 months.
5 months. I've even heard like 60 days or something like that. Some crazy amount.
Yeah,
Super fast.
yeah. In the States, it's like something like 2 months.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
So it's supposed to be around 2 to 3 years.
yeah.
Yeah. So then you go to, okay, cool. So what else? So organic things, consciousness.
Also, in terms of like veggies, they don't put any chemicals into the soil.
Right.
They
That's a
are-
huge thing with like monocultures and crops where everything is
Exactly,
sprayed with pesticides.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's very important. Like, it's not about also the chemicals that they use to protect from bugs and to make them grow stronger, and Roundup and Monsanto and all that. It's about like when you do organic veggies, is what the veggies eat in the soil. For example, now there's a very big hype of like the vegans not having enough vitamin B12.
Mm-hmm.
Vitamin B12 is present in shit. basically,
And shit.
in manure.
Okay.
So it's like you said, like when you do these monocultures, they don't put manure in the soil, they just put the chemical that makes them grow stronger and
Right.
faster. So basically the B12, it disappeared in the veggie world because the way we produce the food. So if you do organic food, you will have B12 in a lot of vegetables,
Right.
a lot.
Because
Or
it's a bacteria,
mushroom.
no? B12. It's produced a bacteria in the manure,
Yeah.
produces the enzyme of B12.
Exactly. So you will have it in your veggies and not in in fish or in eggs or in whatsoever,
Right.
because like it's there in the animals, is there the B12.
To be fair, too, a lot of people who do eat meat and animal products are lacking in B12 for the same reason that you're talking about with these monocultures, because they're feeding cows and chickens, whether it's wheat or soy,
Yeah.
that is also a monoculture that doesn't have the B12.
Exactly.
So then the animals are not getting the B12, and then people who eat the animal products are also not getting the B12
Yeah.
because they're lacking in B12. So.
Yes, and because of like the hygiene restrictions and regulations, they don't grow up in their shit, to say so. So it's just like, yeah, they do, but in a way, like they don't have it. Like B12 is present in the soil,
Right.
in the shit of in the manure of all the animals. So when you use, like, for example, chicken, when you do rotation crops, for like these 3 months you have chickens here and then you pass them here, and when the chickens supposed to be, they used to be, you then plant, I don't know, lettuce, for saying something, lettuce or whatever, and then you rotate. You do this like 4 cycle, where here you have chickens, here you have lettuce, here you have, I don't know, beans, and here you have things. And not just beans. Where you put beans, you also grow corn, because they put nitrogen into the soil that helps the corn to grow. And you combine different species of like veggies to support each other. It's like I told you at the beginning that we forgot the surrounding. You don't find a plant in the forest
By itself.
just like by itself.
Right now.
There's like millions of different species helping each other.
Yeah, living off each other in symbiosis and collaborating. And
Exactly.
yeah, I think I also talked about this before, about the 3 sisters, like you said, the beans, the corn, and then the squash.
Yeah.
And then the beans give the corn nitrogen or something, and the nitrogen provides like a way for the beans to wrap around. It gives it a structure, and then the squash gives it some other kind of nutrient.
Yeah. It's like basically 3 nutrients that every plant needs: nitrogen, potassium, and
but it works together.
phosphorus.
Yeah, and I think we've lost that. So have you gotten into any, is it called permaculture farming? Where what is permaculture?
Permaculture, it's a way of living.
A way of living.
It's not just like the way you
grow food.
It's just like a way of living, how you build your house, how to interact with your surrounding.
And what's this way of living?
It's like no interference in the natural laws of the universe, basically. When you go to, like we said, when you go to the forest or the jungle, you don't see one species of plant. There's just millions of them, and they all interact together.
Right.
And for example, when you build your house in a permaculture way, you build it like in a way that the sun will help you to heat your house during the winter and like cool it down in summer. And also with the wind, how you put things on the ground and how what is your house going to do to help that plot of land, It's like your waste,
right?
Like your an eagle just flew by.
An eagle?
Yeah,
wow.
It's a big animal.
It's there.
An eagle?
Oh no, it's not eagle.
No, it's just like
the way when I think of permaculture, the way I've heard it explained was living or in the sense of farming, is creating a community, a farm in tune with nature.
Yes, in tune, and that is sustainable.
Exactly.
Sustainable, because like what happened now with monoculture is like that is not sustainable. It has an end.
Okay.
It has a beginning and it has an end, man. Then after many, many, many years, that soil is completely destroyed.
Right.
It has no life whatsoever. Like literally, it has no bacteria, no microbes, no nothing. You can do nothing there, you know. So permaculture is that sustainable. So that growth or whatever per, that you harvest there is gonna be forever.
Right.
So
There's also like also how you said about like your kitchen is efficient. It works the most easiest and the most fluid way is like the best way because when you create a permaculture farm, your intent is to also build it, but then eventually just leave it alone,
Exactly.
and then eventually it'll just do its thing, and then you can tweak it a bit and fine tune it and take what you need from it, but it's a cycle. It's gonna always be there forever.
Yeah, it's self-sustainable. as well.
Self-sustaining. Yeah, exactly.
So one of the first things that they teach you when you do permaculture courses or whatever is like there's no such thing as a good weed or a bad weed. They are all the same. That's something that they made us believe, you know. I don't know if you in every city or garden in the world you see a guy picking up the weeds.
Yeah, there's weed chemicals, weed killers, and all these
And
things.
there's God didn't put good plants and bad plants. They're just
Right.
plants, man. They're just not like, oh no, this is a weed, I have to take it off. No, if it's there, it's for a reason.
I never thought of that actually. I always thought of weed as a pest, like something you need to take out. So what do you mean when you say there's no such thing as? How does it work?
Because it's like that, you know. For example, there are some species of plants that they take the nutrients of the soil that is not positive for the thing that you are growing. For example, I don't know, if you put bananas and next to it you put something that, I don't know, eats a lot of whatever nutrient and the banana start to die. Yeah, well, that thing is not positive for the banana, but it's not that it's good or bad. It's just like a plant.
Right. It doesn't have a good relationship with each other.
Exactly.
Those two plants are competing for resources, and one of them is gonna be deficient.
Exactly.
So you need to understand and see how nature has, through millions of years of evolution, have worked out where certain plants work best together. So you can see them in nature naturally. So if you see them working in nature, then that's a good sign that they'll work in your farm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You see it in the jungle, man, that in many trees you see these vines and growing into the trees, and that vine has the root in their soil, and it's thanks to the tree that has the structure for the vine to go to the sky and get like basically the sunlight. By doing this photosynthesis, this plant gives to the soil certain nutrients, you know. So it's like you said before, it's like a symbiosis of like helping each other. And what permaculture does is like they teach you how to study that and how to, because it's basic, each environment is different. It's not the same studying permaculture here than in South America or in Brazil or whatever.
Right.
It's like I did a couple of courses in Argentina and in Uruguay and Bolivia and Brazil, and each one, and in Costa Rica as well, and each one is different, you know, because it's about the surrounding.
Yeah, definitely. And how you said before, how we're all different. We all have different body types, right? So if you're born in Brazil and then someone is born or raised in Alaska, they're gonna have different food requirements.
Exactly.
Right.
Totally.
So they're gonna have been raised under a different environment, eating certain types of bacteria from the plants or some certain types of food. So if you try to feed someone who was raised in the Amazon forest in Brazil and you try to give them the same food to an Alaskan, they're gonna reject it.
Exactly.
Because they're not their whole way they were raised is differently.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think so when you say conscious, do you also think that plants are conscious?
I think they're part of like a common consciousness.
Common consciousness. Okay.
They're part of the everything, the one, you know. So basically, if you In large scale, you can say yes, because they are part of like the whole. That the whole is the same consciousness, and they're part of us. You know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, I think some people talk about how when you play certain music for plants, they can react to it, or
yeah,
they change depending on the mood, and they have their own awareness. Maybe I actually met a guy in where was it, in Nicaragua. I was at this island called Ometepe, a volcano place, and we were on this chocolate factory where they were growing cacao, and he was a yoga teacher, and he talked about how he didn't even eat maple syrup from, because maple is basically from trees, right?
Yeah.
They from trees. Because his idea was that actually maple syrup is the blood of the tree. So he was super out there. He was this yogi dude, and he's super cool. But I had never heard something so extreme in my life. I mean, I've met a lot of people who are vegan, and they talk about, consciousness and not affecting animals and stuff. But I've never met someone so so extreme, where people have these arguments where they say, oh, you're vegan and you don't kill animals, but plants are alive, so you kill plants. You don't care about plants.
Stupid. Yeah.
They're alive. But his idea was that
No,
maple syrup.
Yeah, the maple. How to extract the maple syrup? If you think about like the tree as a being, is quite violent, because it's basically just like stabbing the tree and
Right.
taking out the blood
And draining the blood, the
And
maple
draining.
syrup.
drain out the blood from the maple syrup.
What do you think? So how does that? Do you know how it works, or
No,
no? Okay,
but
so
but also there are like these monks that they don't walk on the grass.
I think they're called Jains. Is it Jainism?
I
Where
don't remember the
I think it's
type.
Jainism in India,
Yeah,
where it's a religion also, where they're vegetarian,
yeah,
and they don't even eat. They put masks on because they don't want to swallow bugs,
exactly.
and they don't eat certain food that has been over a certain amount of time because of the bacteria. And even the bacteria, they say, no, you're harming bacteria.
Exactly.
And they don't walk.
They don't walk on the grass because they don't want to kill any bugs.
any ants or anything like that.
Anything like
That's
that.
really
That's extreme, but well, man, each
yeah, each to their own. If they feel
for
that
me it's a little bit extreme,
Yeah.
but in terms of like what we started to spoke about the surrounding, it's it matches, because like, okay, I'm not gonna kill anything. I don't want to be part of like hurting. I think it's about hurting the animals, or even an insect.
so conscious food. I mean, can conscious food also be including meat?
Yes.
Okay, so how does that work for
For
some
example, people go crazy with the lamb that I do, but the lamb comes from a farm, and isn't. I'm not gonna say it's a happy lamb. It grows there, jumping. It's just like lamb, and it's
Right.
been raised, being killed eventually. But it's about the footprint of the farm.
Okay.
It's organic, so their footprint into the environment is minimum, and it works with symbiosis as
Okay.
well, and same with the fish. I don't have 4 million fish dishes because I don't want to destroy the whole ocean.
Right.
I'm conscious about it. And when people see my menu or read my menu, it's like, oh, why you don't have some you have to put more meat in it or more fish in it, and oh, nobody likes the vegetarian, blah, blah, no. But when I see these kind of people, I talk to them, and it's like, no, this farm comes here no more than 50 kilometers away. So also the how you call the fuel print. No, it's not the fuel print.
The carbon or
The carbon print.
Carbon print.
The carbon print is minimum because it's just like here next door. I don't buy the meat from the States. It comes with a plane and yada yada. That's about being conscious. If you go the whole way, and if you go deeper and deeper and deeper, it's at the end nothing is conscious.
Nothing. Yeah, I mean, even
Move to the
vegetables.
middle of the jungle, have your
Even-
own veggies,
Even
community,
us being
and
alive, it's like creating a carbon footprint, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the most efficient way to not have a carbon footprint is to just commit suicide.
In a
way.
very
Dark.
emo way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, have you seen the documentary Seaspiracy?
No, not yet.
I don't know if you should watch it because it talks about it's really well done, and it talks about how actually fish, there really isn't really, not that there isn't sustainable fish, but it's really hard. Even fish that we think is sustainable is not sustainable at all. But yeah, I think it's just how much. It's not to say that you should not eat fish at all. It's just be more conscious and be more aware of it.
Yeah. The thing about is like, for example, one of my business partners, he likes to eat fish every day. And I was like, dude, you're killing the whole ocean, dude. Like, stop. One day eat veggie.
Right.
With one day, if all the planet goes vegan for one day, just one day of the week, it will change completely. It will change completely because it will change the chain, the production chain. It will change the demand. It will change the offer. So I think it's just like that. Don't go so extreme. And like we talked before, not everybody can be vegan or vegetarian. But just like changing your habits, it will make a huge impact in the world.
So do you think what's the step for having a conscious world? I mean, you're a conscious chef where you're feeding people conscious food, and you put a lot of thought and emotion into your food. But what do you think is a shift that we need in the world right now for consciousness?
Everybody should smoke DMT.
Especially the politicians, right?
Yeah. No,
But-
I think that the shift will be to be more in touch. That everybody should be out of the cities first. I don't think that living in a city is living a healthy life.
Or at least taking a good amount of time away from the city.
Exactly.
A break from, and to be more in tune with nature. Then when you come back, you have an experience.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big part of if you have too much city life, too much city life and too much of something, it's without some kind of break, some kind of what else?
Because like people that, for example, I was born and raised in a city. The first time that I went to
Same.
the jungle, I almost died. Like
In what way?
in phobia of like
Ah.
the amount of bugs and nature, and I was allergic to fucking everything, and I was like, oh my god, I want to come back to my little white square in the city, you
Right.
know, until you get used to it,
Yeah.
and you can I don't know, man, you can sleep under the stars and
I was actually fortunate where I grew up in New York City, but I grew up in a place where we would play outside in like a shitty dead end street, and we didn't care. We'd run in barefoot on the
Yeah.
street, and then also too, my family's from Dominican Republic, where I would go every summer and spend 2 months or summer vacation there, and I would go into the rivers and the lakes, and they had a farm, and I'd play with the cows and the horses, and run barefoot and get all those bacteria.
yeah, that builds your immune system.
Exactly.
That builds your people that is dying from COVID is like rich people that they didn't experience that when they were younger, man.
Right.
They
Their families kind of try to protect them, but in protecting
cleaning
them,
everything. 99 lysoform kills 90.9 of bacteria. Oh fuck, dude! How are you supposed to have a good bacteria in your walls if you're using products to kill them?
Right. Yeah, you're killing the bad bacteria, but you're also killing the necessary bacteria that keep us alive.
Exactly.
So
But it's the same as like what we talk about good drug and bad drug. I don't think that there's good and bad bacteria, and it's just bacteria, man.
bacteria, yeah. I mean, they're just, if you have a bacteria and it's causing some kind of problems with you, you may consider it bad, but it's just trying to survive and it's trying to live off you. So maybe it's not in tune with your body. You just got to get rid of that and just keep the stuff that's going to be beneficial for that bacteria and beneficial for you. Yeah. I mean, I think they say 90% of our cells are bacteria or something like that.
Yeah,
Only
we are
10%.
covered in bacteria. If you look with a microscope, it's full of little bags and
Gross. Not gross, but it's us.
It's there.
We are bacteria in the sense. We are alien species living. Yeah. Yeah, and also too, so your food. So can you tell us more about like your menu and how do you start your day? You go into a kitchen and you go into work. Do you prepare yourself, and what's your process?
Well, my process. I wake up, have coffee, and I start with emails and texting. That's how I start, and then when I come here, I already the day
Is that how
before.
you wake up in the morning? You start your day. You start texting and
Yeah,
emailing. Okay.
yeah. And then I have some free time in my house when I do chores or when I went walking or to the beach or whatever. And then when I come here, the day before, I already gave the crew the list of things to do, you know. And when I come here, there are certain things that I like to do myself, certain recipes that I like to do myself, and some of the things that the guys that do, you know. And what I love about my job is that I'm not the hidden away chef that it's always locked down in the kitchen. You know what?
Mm.
Like I told you before, one of the things that I enjoy about being a chef is about making people happy, and it's just like interacting with people when they're happy with my food. For me, is the most fulfilling emotion or sensation that this job gives me. And then when I'm here, it's just like checking the suppliers, checking the stock, meeting with my manager or my partners, the programming the week or the month, or I don't know. Being a chef, you have like your routine
Routine. Yeah.
or your schedule. Everything's changing completely all the time.
Okay.
You know, you especially here in second world countries where the supplier didn't bring you this, so you have to talk to the other supplier
Right.
or your I don't know your crew. One of the guys didn't show up, or you have a customer, a very particular customer. You have to go and talk and this and that.
Yeah, I think it's also just the culture here in Mexico. It's a little bit more fluid and more. It's harder to be consistent with when you're dealing with people in business.
What's happening now here in Tulum is that suppliers they cannot support the huge amount of demand that
Mm,
there is right now.
really?
Yeah, there is a lot of people, and I talk to many of my suppliers that they have to come at 8 a.m. and they come at 2, and it's just like, dude, I'm sorry, but I can't.
Right.
I'm overwhelmed, and many of the like because I support small businesses, you know,
Hmm.
so it's like the small business is like I'm dude, I'm overwhelmed by work.
Right.
I don't have the hands to because many of us we support small farms and things like that, and it's just like I
It's
can't.
hard. Yeah, I don't think there's a
And
distribution center for small farms where a business can go and
no,
just
there's
get
not.
everything that they need.
There's not.
Because you want to have local places. Maybe that's a good idea for someone to start a place where you can have a distribution for businesses, a middle ground where you have all these local suppliers can have a market maybe
It will
or
be a good idea, but at the same time, it will not be a good idea because it's like a third party. You
third party.
know,
Then the prices go up.
exactly.
Right.
Prices grow up. Distribution is more difficult. It's like the f- the print. It's higher, and
Yeah. Or maybe just some kind of way to make it more efficient. Maybe at nighttime or something. Maybe do something where it's already
yeah,
there.
nighttime will be amazing, man.
Yeah, no one's in the street, and you can go and deliver your products and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, what's your opinion of Tulum? Like, what brought you here? Why did you come here? What do you think of it?
Well, Norita brought me here.
Narita.
Yeah. One of my partners is my cousin. We grew up together, so his partner was lived here for a couple of years, and when they offer the spot, the restaurant, they thought about me, and when they called me, I was there in Costa Rica doing nothing because we were in pandemic and the
Mm-hmm.
town was closed. Uh,
Santa Teresa was
yeah,
closed. What month was this?
This was May or June.
May, June, it was still closed.
Yeah.
Is it open now or
Yeah, now it's full.
full? Yeah.
And when they called me, but Costa Rica was closed, even, like the whole country.
Yeah.
So when they called me, I said yes immediately, because Santa Teresa is a very good town to live, very peaceful, the nature is amazing. I had a bunch of friends, a bunch of brothers and sisters, and I was very happy with my job there. I was the chef at the beach.
What spot?
El Rocamar.
Rocamar?
Yeah.
Okay. I've been to Santa Teresa.
I was the chef there, and I was also the sous chef of a private catering of Jim Kelly, amazing friend and one of the best chefs that I know. So I was there, and I was kind of like stuck, like professionally. It was like I went there to Teresa to take a rest. I think, I did many different things, not only chefing there.
Did you surf?
I surfed, almost died surfing.
What happened? What was the story?
No, my leash got caught. It was very heavy waves. It was very choppy.
Yeah.
And I got into panic. I did the mistake that you don't have to do. I went into panic, man, and I was rescued.
Wow, luckily.
Yeah.
I remember I was in Santa Teresa and I was swimming with this girl, and the waves, the tide was taking us away, and it was taking us towards the rocks.
Yeah.
And it was strong, and I'm a pretty decent swimmer, and luckily this guy saw us from the beach and saw that we were in panic, and I was like, hey, and he came, and strangely enough, he was a surf coach for quadriplegics.
Wow.
People with no arms and no legs. He'd help them surf.
Fucking
So he was an amazing swimmer, and he came and he saved the girl that I was with, and yeah, it was really interesting. But yeah, that's another story.
Well, they called me, they offered me the job, they told me about the project, I said yes.
What's the project?
Norita.
What is it? What's the...
Well, first being the restaurant here at Art House to provide service here and also be open to the public, and for me as a chef to open a restaurant from scratch is one of the best challenges.
And you've never done this before?
Yeah, many times.
Okay.
And it's one of my favorite challenges, to start your team from scratch, to choose your suppliers from scratch, like to get in touch, and especially for me is because I didn't knew so much people here in Tulum, many accountancies that live here, blah blah blah. But for me as a chef coming here and just like, okay, open a restaurant
Right.
from scratch, So the first thing that I did was met the manager that she was working in another place, and it's like, dude, I want you for my restaurant.
Right. Okay.
And then little by little building up, and so far we're doing pretty good in these 3 months that we're open, man.
What's the craziest experience you've ever had? Like, not ever had, but what's something that's memorable of being a chef, or some experience that you can share?
Making people cry with the food.
Make people cry?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Like in a good way.
Right.
Like,
it's like so delicious. So
yeah,
good.
yeah. I remember. Well, actually, I remember. This is another story, but I remember this woman that I don't remember what plate, what dish was it or what recipe, but she. I remember the waiter is like, "Hey, Nico, this lady calls you from the table," and I was like, "Okay." And I went there, and when I went there to the table, she stand up and hugged me and start crying, like, dude, this is the best food that I ever had in my life.
Wow.
Blah blah blah. But I think the best, or not crazy, but one of the things that I enjoy the most is there. When I was chef in the Dominican Republic, I made very good friends from one client from New York. Ricardo, a guy that lived there in New York with his wife, and they were coming on holidays every 6 months. They were staying at the hotel, And it was, I remember he called me because we became very good friends. So we were talking often, like via Facebook or Instagram and these platforms. And I remember he called me on Wednesday and it's like, hey, Nico, are you going to work this weekend? And I was like, yeah, I work here. Okay. Because Saturday is my wife's birthday. So I'm flying on Friday. No, I'm flying on Saturday morning and I'm going to gift her your food. And that's what they did. They fly Saturday morning. They came to eat to my restaurant, and the next morning they flew back to New York. And a couple of months later, she died because she was very sick. And it, like, one of her final wishes was to eat my food.
Get out of here.
So yeah, fucking goosebumps, man.
Damn.
And such a lovely, lovely human being, man. And for me as a chef or as a person to, and she knew that she was dying, you know, and he was like spoiling her like in every way he could to make her happy, to like in a way of like appreciation and thanking her for all the experiences and their children that they have together. And for me as a human, and not even a chef, as a human,
Yeah.
to be chosen from somebody that's dying to fly from New York to the Dominican Republic to have my food and then come back, I think
That's amazing.
That's
That's
what-
such an amazing experience. I mean, it must have such a feeling of joy and gratitude to
Yeah.
like be someone to think of you that way, to fly you all the way out and to just taste your food for one last. They it was such a memorable experience that they
Yeah.
wanted that as
Yeah,
their
yeah.
last
Yeah, it was
last meal.
incredible, man.
Wow, that's insane,
She was in love with the curry sauce that I make.
dude. I love curry. So I love curry. You have to make me a curry.
Because we make here our own curry paste.
Right, right.
You know?
Oh,
And she was like, it was a fish curry that I made to
Yeah.
her with jasmine rice and then
God,
a
I
dessert.
gotta try it. I have to try it.
I had a dessert that it was like a almond cake, and she was in love with the almond cake. And
Amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Amazing. Yeah. Yeah. I think we'll end it right there. Unless you want to talk about something else or you want to share some other thing. Or
thank you very much for everything, man.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed talking to you, man.
Yeah, definitely. I think we've had a good conversation. Do you want to tell people where they can reach you at, or any information on how to contact
Yeah,
you?
well, I'm the executive chef of Norita. Norita is located next to Art House here in Aldea Sama, and we do creative fusion food with a lot of healthy choices.
Okay.
You know, as we spoke, like I study a lot of nutrition, and so all the smoothies are kind of like thought. And yeah. we're
And
here, man.
what's your Instagram?
My Instagram is conscious_chef. Norita is norita.mx. And we are open
Yeah.
from 9 to 10 every day of the week, man.
Nice. Thank you so much for being my guest, and thank you for listening. If you're still here.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. All right. I think we're good. We're out.
We're out.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, man.
That was a long run.